Hi, my name is Maria Langer, and until August 12, 2024, I was a mostly solo Great Loop cruiser. I crossed my wake in Chicago, and now I'm back home filling in the gaps in my Great Loop blog and editing videos from footage I shot during my Great Loop trip. You can learn a lot more about the Great Loop and my journey along its route on my blog, www.mygreatloopadventure.com. Today I'm sharing some footage from July 2024 when I went through Lock 44 on the Trent-Severn Waterway in Ontario, Canada. Lock 44 is a real engineering marvel, the Big Chute Marine Railway. It uses a platform with boat slings on railroad tracks to move boats up or down a steep incline along the waterway. You can learn more about it on the Canadian government's webpage for it. I'll put a link to that in the video description. This video combines bowcam footage from my parked boat with iPhone footage I shot from land as the boat ahead of me in the queue for passage entered the lock and made its way across the road and started down the hill. Although my viewpoint and the fact that I needed to get back to my boat to enter the lock made it impossible for me to capture footage of that boat exiting the lock on the other side, at the end of this video you'll see another batch of boats and jet skis exit the lock on my side. Now I'm going to attempt to narrate what's going on without a script. Let's see how I do. Okay, what you're seeing now is me coming back to my boat, because I'm going to need to move it up, and the folks in front of me getting out of their boats so they can untie it and start to get into the carriage that will take them across the road. The carriage has just arrived on our side of the roadway. You can see it just to the right of the boat in front of me, and right now boats are starting to get off of it. What's interesting here is that off to the port side of my boat, in other words to the left, is the channel where the water flows down pretty much like a waterfall and goes down past this area. Obviously a boat cannot go down there, so that's what the whole existence of this railway thing. However, it sets up a really strong current on that side, and because of that, the boats want to go off to port. They want to go off to the side, and it's really hard to see right now, but the large boat coming out of the carriage is getting caught by that current, and it's being taken to the port side. In a moment, it's going to turn, and it's going to back up, and you're going to see it correct its course and come after that jet ski that's going by now. So what's interesting here, a little foreshadowing here, is that the boat in front of me, as it's going into the carriage, it also gets caught. So it's really strong current. It's not something small and calm. So you can see that other boat backing up, and he's going to make a turn towards us and go, and there's a jet ski now coming also that had come out of there. This whole process takes quite a while. I'd say probably about 15 minutes total from the time that you enter the carriage to the time you get down onto the other side. And I have some other video footage that I'm going to be sharing in a different video that is my bowcam look from my boat looking down as I go over this. So that's going to be a separate video. So this is the last boat that has just gotten out of the carriage. The boat in front of me is now untied, and he's going to go try to get into the carriage. It was a very large boat in front of me, and I should have been in there with him. However, when they called to me and asked the size of my boat, what they do is they communicate by calling to us, and we wave back. When they called to ask the size of my boat, I thought they asked if it was 28 feet or shorter. And I said no. And really what they were asking is if it was 39 feet or shorter. So I totally screwed that up, and I should have been in them. But if I had been in there with them, then I would not be able to have gotten this video. So now at this point, I've untied my boat, and there was another person I was talking to on the dock, and he was helping me just to pull my boat forward. And that's why the camera's moving, is because I'm moving forward. The guy standing there taking pictures, well, that's Bob. I had met Bob in my travels. He was in a carver, and we kind of played hopscotch, a little bit of buddy boating along the way in the Trent-Severn Waterway. He did not make it into the loch with me. He was on the next trip down. So in the meantime, you can see this guy is backing up now. He's being pulled off to the port side. So he's turning the boat. I think he's got a twin engine. And he's very aggressively backing up, probably a little more than necessary. There's a post there. He was probably trying to avoid that. And there's also some cables to prevent people from going off to the port side between that post and where Bob's standing. So he got really backed up a lot more than he had to. And the benefit of this, you can see me here walking up to talk to Bob. And this is where I decided, well, I'm going to try to walk ahead and try to get pictures of him getting into the loch from a different angle. I wasn't sure if you could walk from where I was on the dock around to the actual road where the boats cross the road. What's interesting here also, I should point out that sign in 2 languages. Everything in Canada is in 2 languages. Caution, vessel damage may occur on the Big Chute Marine Railway. Parks Canada cannot be held Parks Canada cannot be held liable for any damages. So in other words, we might damage your boat, but you can't blame us. So, but that's the only way to go. There's no other way to get around this. So now that boat in front of me is back on target, and I have moved into position to get some footage from a different angle of him moving into the chute. And you can see the straps, those yellow things hanging down from the chute. And what that's going to do is the boat's going to come up over those straps, and then the straps are going to lift, and it's going to lift the boat up. At this point, it doesn't actually lift the boat out of the water. It just basically secures the boat in position, so as the carriage starts climbing out of the water, the boat will settle into those straps and be lifted off of the carriage. It's not that far off the bottom of the carriage, though. It's about, I'd say just a couple of feet. So now we're back at the camera angle from my boat, and you can see him maneuvering. The front strap is already in place. They're getting that second strap in place. The folks who do this work are amazing, probably because they do it all day. I arrived in July, and they had probably been at it for well over a month at that point, so they were pretty experienced. They actually are way more experienced than the people going through, and because of that, they really kind of rush you along. Any audio that you're hearing, background audio that you're hearing when I'm quiet, is the audio that came off the GoPro on my boat. That might be me walking across the roadway now. So my goal was to try to get a whole bunch of different angles of this. I also got a bunch of still images that I did not include in this video, and I sent those on to the folks on that boat. What happens is that when they are climbing out of the water and crossing the road, you get a really good view of the underside of the boat. So if that boat had any dings on its prop or stuff stuck in it, I could show them, on the video or still clips of what was going on the bottom of their boat. So that's what I did. And I'm sorry about the stuttering, but I'm not really very good at narrating, so just try to bear with me. You can see people still crossing the road now in front of the boat. They are probably just tightening the straps now and getting ready to start moving the boat. It looks like it is getting a little bit lifted, slightly lifted there. It's not going to come out of the water until the carriage starts to move. So now there's a bunch of people watching, and I'm among them. And this is the view from the roadway now. And you can't really tell, but it's moving ever so slowly out of the water. Again, it's a very slow process. The people on the side there on the left are the people operating this thing. There's a whole crew of people who do this. Their job is to get the slings under the boats, raise the boats, secure the boats, I should say, and then basically operate the carriage as it drives up out of the water, over the road, and down the other side. So it's coming out of the water now. You can see the whole front of the boat is out of the water. The back might still be in there a little bit. And it's coming up the tracks. You'll still see cars crossing the road. The carriage moves so slowly that they are able to shut the gates and stop the cars from going before they get there. You'll see the gate coming down now. And that's on one side. You can't see the other gate. And the boat is climbing ever so slowly out there. The number of boats that they put on the carriage varies depending on the size of the boats. This boat was pretty big, and again, I probably could have fit in front of them, but I misheard what they were saying. If you're ever in this area, if you go to that web page that I linked to in the description, it tells you exactly where this place is. If you're in this area, you could drive there by car. You can observe the vehicles, the boats going over. There's a picnic area there. You can actually park your boat on one of the docks off to the side that you can't see and spend the night there. And I thought about doing that, but I wound up staying a lot closer the night before, so I didn't want to stay there another night. So here's where it's crossing the road. And again, it's just railroad tracks. What's interesting about it, and you'll see it better in the other video I do about this where my boat goes over, is that there's actually two sets of tracks side by side. The way it works is that one set of wheels, for example, the front wheels, whichever way you're looking, doesn't matter, front or back, is on one set of tracks and the other wheels are on the other. And by doing it this way, they're able to keep that carriage pretty much level as it goes down the steep hill. And you can see the cables here that are pulling the whole thing. That building with the brown wood is probably the offices for this particular lock. This is the undercarriage of the carriage. And it's finishing crossing the road now. Now what happened is that it got to a certain point on the other side of the road. You see they opened the gates and the car's going behind the boats now. And it stopped there, and it was there for, nearly 5 minutes. And of course, I didn't want you to look at 5 minutes of really nothing going on. So what I did was I cut the video here, and then I fast forwarded to where it starts to go back down the hill. So now it's moving again, and it's going down the hill past the building. And it's a very steep decline. You can walk, there's actually a pathway you can walk down the side of it if you want, with there's stairs down there. So now we're back at my boat. And we're looking at it leaving the area. It was a really nice day, hardly any wind. You can see now where the waterfall is, where the water goes down. It's off to the left there, past those yellow barriers. The noise you're hearing are my dogs. Unfortunately, I'm not in a very good place to be recording sound, and I don't have my good microphone with me. So my apologies in advance for any problems with the audio. So it's almost gone past the building now. Got one more clip of it from the side, or the back really, as it goes down. So now this is where I had to go back to my boat. So when after I shot this little clip here, and you can see it's going down to that other body of water. Once I got done with that, well, then I had to hustle back. In fact, that's probably me walking on the roadway there. And I had to get all the way back to my boat because I needed to be in my boat and ready to go when the carriage came back up and they needed to load me. So I couldn't really hang around that much. So now I fast forwarded again. I'm back on my boat. And what you're seeing is the carriage coming back to us with a load of boats on it. And I believe there were 2 power boats and a whole bunch of jet skis on there. So I included this clip so you could see what it was like when boats come down into the water and then leave. I know we saw a little bit of that at the beginning of this video, but it wasn't a clear view of it. So we'll take another look at it. In the meantime, I'm in my boat. I probably got the engine running already, and I'm waiting to get instructions to go into the carriage. Of course, these guys have to come down first, and what will happen is I'll start getting instructions that are actually called out to me over a loudspeaker, and I will shut up now so that you can hear them when they start talking.
I have a question for the first boat on the blue line. Can you give me a wave if the beam of your boat is 11.5 feet or less? Excellent. So this next trip will take the first boat on the blue line coming in front right. Give us a chance to get them loaded, and then we'll take the second boat on the blue line coming in back center. Once you pushed off from the blue line, please bring all bumpers up on deck before you enter the carriage. The remaining boats on the blue line, please pull forward in the order in which you arrived to allow for incoming traffic to pull up behind you. Thank you.
So that's just about it. They're going to offload these boats. You'll see them go by, and then after that I move into position and I get on the carriage and take my trip over the road. And I'm going to cover that in another video where I've got the bow cam for the entire ride. I'll try to do a little narration for that too. Maybe it'll be a little better, who knows. Thanks a lot for watching. If you got this far, I hope you found it interesting. If you like my videos, please subscribe and please share them with your friends. I'd like to get more eyes on these if people like them. Thanks so much for watching. You take care. Bye.